Hi guys, and welcome to our little homeschool hangout. If you are new here, I am Amanda, brand new homeschool mom living in the Berg, doing the preschool thing right now, and currently working through Blossom and Roots Early Years 1 curriculum. Checking in every week with what we are up to in this curriculum, so I hope that you will join us. Make sure that you like, subscribe, check out my Instagram at Foursquare Schoolhouse because I am posting daily there. This week we are doing week 4, so let's go. In nature study this week, we once again veered a little bit from the curriculum, which I guess is kind of becoming a given around here. And instead of creating a scavenger hunt ahead of time with trees to find, we just kind of browsed the neighborhood for interesting trees. And by interesting, I mean trees that weren't bare, that actually had leaves. And we gathered some specimens and pictures to take home with us. We found this guy here with little white blossoms. And then we also found this group of big needly guys to identify. We picked a few blossoms off the sidewalk and also snagged a cone, a branch, and some needles to take home to help us identify the others. Now, most of our information came from Google Lens, so I just did a visual search using the pictures that I took and we went from there. So the flowering tree, I think, ended up being either a Callery or Bradford pear. I think they're kind of the same thing. And apparently they're super invasive and also stinky, but we did not notice that. So I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. The others were kind of fun to identify using a site that helped us rule out different species. So first we looked at the needles to see if they grew in bunches or individually, because apparently pine needles grow in bunches and these did not. So we could rule that out, I think, leaving us with either fir or spruce. So then we rolled the needles between our fingers. Fir needles are flatter and do not roll easily, and these didn't roll super easily, but they rolled. So I guess we can determine that these are spruce. Please correct me if I'm wrong. To extend on this lesson a bit, we used some tape to stick the needles and the little flower that we picked up into our nature journal, and then we added in some pictures and drawings. I used this super cool little printer that I bought years ago to put things into my planner. It's really coming in handy now for Lucy and for adding things into her journal. And we also made this little mobile here to hang under the little awning of our porch using a pine cone and a random little branch that we found. So we used the mobile also in our science lesson, along with a few other things to work on our tree station for this week's lesson. So our station kind of ended up being more spread out between the mobile, a few books that we had laying around, and some other kind of special stuff that really just so happened to work out. Like I have this tree house that my granddad made way before I was even born. It was just hanging out in the basement for years now, kind of waiting to be repaired and also mocking me at the same time, adding to my silent to-do list. And this week inspired me to bring it up, to just let the girls have fun with it while I hopefully get to just fix it up bit by bit as I find time. And then there's also this slice of wood on top that's just kind of chilling there for now that my mom sent home with us. It was from a big weeping willow tree at my grandparents' old house. And we also brought home a couple of hunks of wood and rocks and stuff from my parents' house after Easter. So they had a couple of trees in their backyard cut down a couple summers ago. So we got this great big giant trunk piece that now we have in the backyard for climbing, using as a table, whatever they want. Now for math this week, I think I spent a total of about 5 seconds on this week's lesson. We were just hanging out in the front porch and I noticed some of these random sticks laying around and it just kind of clicked in my head. And I told her to go organize them from biggest to smallest. And that was about it. Check. We also talked about trees that we saw that were bigger and smaller, taller, shorter, all that as we took walks through the week too, but we really didn't designate any specific time this week to a math lesson. In our last week with Van Gogh, we looked at his bedroom and oil painting and made a little collage to go along with it. Now I think that Lucy's really starting to get the hang of this whole picture study thing, and as soon as she sat down, she just started pointing and rattling off things that she recognized in the picture, which was a ton since it's all pretty familiar subject matter. Now Blossom and Root pointed out how there are lots of square and box shapes in this painting, so I gave her a crayon and then asked her to circle all of the square shapes that she could find. She is a total sucker for stuff like this, like finding stuff, I spy, spot the difference. So that was a hit. And after she finished circling all these things, we cut out lots of our own squares from construction paper to make a collage. Now, Blossom and Root said to use lots of different colors, textures, pieces with text like junk mail and stuff, but strangely, and also unfortunately, I had absolutely nothing like this to use, which is weird, but I didn't feel super prepared this week overall. We didn't get back from my parents for Easter until Monday night. Then we sort of just had like a chill recovery day on Tuesday, which left us with a few days to work through all of this week's lessons. So yeah, it was a bit rushed and I didn't really prepare for anything at all. And I wish I would have had more than construction paper, but really that's kind of silly. That's my perfectionism leaking out all over a perfectly fine activity. And that really can be kind of toxic, you know, like Lucy had fun with the activity. She used her scissors and her glue stick and pretended that all of her boxes were flying around in the sky. And she really overall enjoyed the activity and she was proud of her work and it was good. Now, also in the art section for this week, Blossom and Root had a little play kitchen lesson in addition to the Van Gogh. So really this week just seemed to have a lot to cover. I don't know if it's just because we were pressed for time or if there really were a lot more things to do, but I don't know. I guess this was like a little culinary arts twist thrown in there. And we do have this IKEA play kitchen in the girls' room that they play with like it's their job. This is one of those things that was completely worth the money, worth the space, all that. And I try to keep it pretty simple. There's lots of Trader Joe's packages in there, some other random recycled things that come and go. Some wooden Velcro produce there for cutting, and also some stuff that I recently crocheted for this space. Now, I've been meaning to kind of up our mud kitchen game for actual years now, so I also kind of took this lesson as a challenge to do that this week. We are finally getting some nice weather and are spending more time in the yard right now, so I think that this will get a ton of use right off the bat. I've been planning on actually making a mud kitchen either from scratch or like a repurposed entertainment stand or something, but that just really hasn't panned out, obviously. So I jumped on this little wooden play kitchen that I found on Marketplace for 20 bucks. I also went to the thrift store and the Dollar Tree to find some odds and ends to add to it. I think I still need to reattach the faucet, but other than that, like it's kind of good to go. The girls played for ages with some of the patio pebbles and dandelions. They made a stew, and I really think that this thing is going to see a lot of action over the nicer months. Now I'm also going to jump in here with one more kind of a kitchen thing that we didn't get around to playing with this week, but I do want to share it. And it's this little portable kitchen that I made with my laser. Not that kind of laser. It has a little stovetop here on the one side, and then the other side is kind of like a little pizza station. We've used these with Play-Doh, rocks, acorns, and stuff. We have one on the porch. We have one in the Play-Doh. I'm planning on making one to put in with our camping stuff too, so we have like a little portable kitchen for when we go camping. I've never listed any physical products in my Etsy shop before, but I do think that I might put these on there. They're just kind of too cool to not share. In music, this was our last week with Mozart, and we pretty much just looked some stuff up on my iPad, and I found a short ballet clip that she really liked. We talked about how dancing to music can help us feel and also see the music instead of only experiencing it with our ears, you know, and she danced along, of course, and then we watched a few other suggested videos that popped up and talked a little bit more about the instruments that we could hear. I made up a little printable with some instruments too, so that we could have a visual, you know, something to reference and to point to while we listen to make it all just a little less abstract. If you would like this printable, I'm going to link that down in the description for you as a freebie, so be sure to go down there and grab it if you'd like a little something to reference. This week's kindness and connectivity lesson was so simple and also so perfect. Like, I cannot tell you how many times a day I say things like, okay, in a minute, hold on, or like, just a second, as soon as I finish, whatever. And I hate it. Like, I sincerely hate that I do that there are just so many things that always need to be done that take away from my ability to just say yes and to be in the moment with my kids. And it's not like there's even ever an end to it, right? Like anything is ever actually finished. We're just in this constant state of doing. So this week's lesson was awesome. And it was just to play a game, to say yes, to be available, and to prioritize something fun and simple that really should always just be prioritized, right? But that's hard because we have to be grown-ups. And think about it. So while all the laundry and dishes and other junk will unfortunately just always be there, our kids are only going to be this little for like a minute. That's it. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I am a total and complete wuss and I just can't. So here I proposed a game of hide and seek in the yard, which is always one of her favorites. But she wanted to play a game called Chase the Pool Noodle. So I had to press a button on the top of her head to choose what color noodle I wanted. And then she ran around the yard like a maniac while I tried to catch her. And this game made her light up and it made her laugh. And it would not have existed had I not just stopped to say yes. So seriously, guys, this week in this lesson, just have fun saying yes. Don't phone this one in. Now we are back to trees again for this week's Read Aloud. And once again, we are back to our iPad. I didn't make it to the library because I was actually outside with my kids enjoying the nice weather, and we just didn't really want to go inside, so whatever. But you know, as usual, I just found the book on YouTube. This week's book was called A Tree is Nice, and it was a nice book. Lucy enjoyed it, and I think after reading it and after talking through the questions that were in the Blossom and her Parent Guide, I think she kind of wants to plant a tree. I am actually filming this on Earth Day, and I'm so tempted to go buy a tree to plant. We don't have a big yard, so maybe I could get a small tree. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions. It's something I've never done before, but I would not be opposed to it.
You put the tree in the ground, bury it up, and let it grow.
The activity for this lesson was to make a handprint tree with paint, but it really was, like I said, just an iPad kind of week, guys. Like, if I had had the volume up in any of the clips that I included here, you would hear a fussy, teething baby that does not sleep. So I do not sleep. So we just had to, you know, get in all the snuggles this week and let it be easy. And that meant using Procreate to make a tree, and it was amazing. And I'm so freaking happy that I stumbled on this and that I can share it with you. Like, I feel like I found something revolutionary here. The magic, my friends, is in the screen recording. And this is the first time that I've done a screen recording because I wanted to have it for this video. And I also had the audio turned on too, which just completely makes it. Now, for all I know, everyone already does this, but I feel like I just discovered something huge here. Like, not only do I get to keep as much of this digital art as I want, but I can also have her voice, her words, her stories and explanations, her laugh. Ugh, like, it all just melts my heart. I usually ask her to tell me about her art when she's finished so that I can write in little notes or parts of her story, but this just completely blows that out of the water, right? And if you can't tell, I'm kind of pumped about this, and I'm just gonna turn up the sound on this for a sec so you can maybe get an idea as to why I love this so freaking much.
That's a tuba slide. Goes way up high into the sky. Goes past everything. See that slide? Goes way over here.
Yeah.
To Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is where people live.
Our kitchen classroom lesson this week was a little bit different and also really simple, which was nice. We didn't even actually have to go into the kitchen. We just kind of talked about what recipes look like. I asked Lucy what kind of recipe she would make, and she had zero hesitation. Like, she's been thinking about this for a while. She would make soup with tomatoes, a can of tomato sauce, lettuce, bread, and broccoli. And I made up a little recipe card and had her draw some pictures of her recipe, and I added some text Now, we didn't get around to actually making it, nor do I really want to put lettuce in tomato soup, but who knows, right? Like, I stuck it up on the fridge for now, and maybe we will throw it all together someday. All right, so remember guys, you do have a couple of action items this week. Once you do the usual, like, subscribe, check us out on Instagram at Foursquare Schoolhouse, grab your free printable, and also take a screen recording of your kid making some art. And make sure you have your audio turned on and record all that awesome preschool, toddler, whatever your kid is. It's gonna be awesome. Goodness. And let me know if you do, and I'll see you next time. Bum, ba-dum.